Hey guys, Sleepy Reader here. This is going to be Sleepy Vlog 11, the variant edition. Um, or you could call it Sleepy Vlog 12. I think I'll call it Sleepy Vlog 11, the variant edition. I like that. We need more variant editions. I bet a lot of you, or I know a good number of you, are reading Multiple Warheads or looking at it with its interesting art style that to some extent evokes a certain side of the old heavy metal or the European comics. But reading this book with my daughter last night made me think there's another side to its influences than heavy metal. And I think that's Dr. Seuss. And particularly, it's just particularly noticeable in this book, Oh, the Places You Will Go. Just the colors and the shapes seemed very Multiple Warheads to me. This is kind of a Dr. Seuss book that makes more sense to slightly older kids. I used to try to read it to my daughter when she was 2, and it just didn't make sense to her. But now she kind of gets it. She's starting to learn that life's a struggle. But yeah, it seems like the same palette and the sort of same playful nonsense shapes turning into a landscape. So that's my Multiple Warheads thought for the day. I got a lot of stuff I could cover in this vlog. I'll try to cut it off when I get going too long. And it's all trivial. It's all minutia, and it'll be longer than a minute. I thought some of you might be curious what a Marvel subscription looks like when it comes in the mail. So it comes, stay awake, computer. It comes with this board and in plastic, so people can only see the ad on the back of your comic book. But it's obviously a comic book. There's Captain America there. And you can kind of rip it open right here in the middle usually. But that's not so good for your comic book, so I think I'll cut mine open. I'm not quite sure what's in here. I've got 2 of them. So some of you may remember that I'm getting a lot of my Marvels this way, because I was trying to, even before Marvel Now started, I was trying to just get back into Marvel, but I didn't like paying the $4. So I subscribed, and it costs about $2.25. So this one is Ultimates 18. They might even be up to 19 by now. I'm not positive, but these things tend to run behind a bit, and a lot of these Marvel books come out twice a month. I'd say they run about two days behind. And I'm trying to decide whether it's a good idea to reuse these as backing boards. They're a bit flimsier than the real thing, but maybe for comics that I'm not too worried about. I wouldn't reuse the bag, of course. So let's see, I got another one of those. Where'd it go? Oh, great. Thought I had it right here, and I don't. There it is. So I have not had any real complaints about the condition. I think I got one issue that was a little bit bent up by the mail system, but just one. And I've been getting, I think I get 6 comic books this way. And this is Iron Man number 2. Great cover. It's in pristine condition. Looks very nice. On the back, they try to sell you more subscriptions. One nice thing is if you renew them, the price goes down on your renewal. They don't even tell you that, but when you click renew, it then becomes $2 an issue. The downside has been a number of these comics that I've subscribed to. I've been saving all this money per issue, but a number of them I wouldn't have kept getting if I'd been buying them in the store. Iron Man's kind of on the fence. And they aren't really year-long subscriptions because most of these come so many times a month, at least twice a month. Some of them seem to come more often than that. So yeah, I just thought people might be interested to see that. if you don't mind getting your comics later, it's a good price, much cheaper than getting digital, and then you get the digital code too. What else have I got for you? I started at a new comic book store. It's an old comic book store. I've been going. I've lived in Portland for 19 or 20 years, Portland, Oregon, where I live, and I've been going to this comic book store, which is near my house. Even before I lived near it, on and off for those 20 years, just poking in. But I had my pull box in this past year at another comic book store that was a long drive away, relatively speaking. But I always got caught in traffic going there, and it just always became a big deal going there and coming back. So I switched to this comic book store near my house, which sells all their comic books in bags, which is nice in a way. They're kept in good condition, but I like to thumb through them to decide whether I really want to buy them. And so it's kind of a downside. And it's just not as quite as cool of a comic book store as the other one. But anyway, now it takes me, if I want to walk, 10 minutes to go get my comics. And I can walk over there with my daughter. Although that turned out to be a downside last night when she and I went. I kind of got distracted by her and I didn't pick out all the comics I wanted. I'd meant to pick up Masks that people have been talking about, and I wanted to get Hellboy in Hell, because I love stories about hell. That's the fallen Catholic in me, I guess. But it seems like we all like stories about hell, don't we? So I got Great Pacific, and then I picked up this, I think, locally made comic. And if I'd been able to thumb through it, I might not have picked it up. But I haven't read it yet. Maybe I'll decide. I'll decide to get it, or maybe I'll decide I like it after I read it. You know, it might all depend on the writing. The artwork is sort of semi-amateurish. But it was a $3 book, and I'm supporting a local comic book artist. So if it's okay, maybe I'll get some more issues. Got this for my daughter, Earth's Mightiest Heroes, The Avengers #7. I don't know if it's a current copy. But the interesting thing is, in this, the Avengers meet a group of heroes called the Microns. And they're clearly the Micronauts. With their name changed. I don't know if they've been appearing in any other Marvel comics. I've been seeing Captain Cummings and a few other people collecting Micronauts, which was kind of a great, at least art-wise, comic book back in the early 80s. So it was fun to read this with my daughter and see them come back. Although that was just the first 10 pages. And then there was this less inspiring Iron Man adventure. We got it because there was Wasp on the cover, and she wants girl superheroes. I got Hawkeye, Tape Part 2. I did remember that I wanted to pick up Batman Inc. because of some people's reviews of it last week, particularly Steven SWG Comics. Got Detective Comics, which I think I'm jumping on board of, despite the $3.99. Because I really liked the last issue that I grabbed. Minutemen, Earth 2, Animal Man and Swampy, and Fairest. Oh, another problem I have with buying them bagged is they're bagged with tape, and I normally get the bags with the self-adhesive because I've frequently pulled comic books out of the bag and got them stuck to the tape and ruined part of the cover, and I really hate that. So yeah, the first thing I do when I get the comic books is remove the tape. So do I then switch these all to self-adhesive bags and throw out all these other bags? I'm not sure what to do. Okay, while I'm kind of being Mr. Hall, I got a trade haul, and one of my favorite 80s, early 90s comics is Nexus. And what I didn't know when I ordered this omnibus edition is smaller than a regular comic book, which seems very unfortunate to me, Because the great thing about Nexus, one of the great things about it, is the fantastic art. If anything, it really should be a little oversized. And the first, I think, 3 issues came out black and white in magazine size. I remember getting them, so I was very actively collecting comics when Nexus first came out. And I think in their second or third black and white issue, it came with a record, one of those little flexi records, where they had music and sound effects and read the whole comic book to you. It was quite cool. Interesting smell. Not a bad smell. I guess the fresh ink smell. I think this book is just out this week, or this past 2 weeks ago. So I wish there was a better way to get Nexus. I probably should go get all the individual issues again. I have a little bit of a problem sometimes rebuying runs that I once owned. And then I, sort of on the spur of the moment, I've been thinking about the Spirit a lot, and I just ordered 1 volume of the Spirit Archives that I thought in particular would have some good episodes of the Spirit. I don't think these DC archives are really worth the $50 they sell them for, but it was like $27 when I bought it, and that's okay. But I wish they had done a better job with the colors and stuff. And this is volume 13, and if you do want to buy the Spirit Archives, start with volume 12 at the earliest, because most of the volumes before volume 12 are spirits not done by Will Eisner. It was most of those volumes are done by Lou Fine, and Will Eisner was for 4 years or 5 years in the Army, and he wasn't able to do the spirits. Occasionally he contributed a script or 2. And they don't give you any of those credits, so it's a hard thing to know. But it's with volume 12 in around 1945 or early 46 that the Spirit became really great. It's really like 45 to 1950 that you get the classic Spirit stories. And I'm really enjoying Fairest, where I've jumped on, so I decided to get the trade of the first 6 or 7 issues. And I've heard that this is really good, so I grabbed the trade of Thief of Thieves. These were all bought from in-stock trades, so all at about 40 or 45% off, or even 50% off for some of them. And I have one other haul that I forgot. On Black Friday, I went to a comic book store, and most of their prices were outrageous. So that even at their half price, the prices of their used books were outrageous. Even at half price, they weren't that great. So I thought at first I was going to buy a whole bunch of back issues of stuff, some Jack Kirby or something. But there wasn't much that... Like, I looked at these War and Spirit magazines, because I'm going through this strong Spirit phase. And at this store, they were charging like $60 an issue, which meant at half price, they were $30 an issue. And I had figured I would find them for like $25 an issue and get them for $12 an issue or something like that. So that was ridiculous. But I have kind of Joe Kubert on the mind, so I grabbed this Korak Son of Tarzan at half price. That seemed pretty good. And then I also, the disappointment over the Phantom Stranger has led me to want to look at old Phantom Stranger. And I couldn't resist this, because it's the Phantom Stranger with the Spectre of the Stalking Swamp. And this is from 1969, and if I'm not mistaken, that was long before, that was at least 3 or 4 years before Len Wein created the Swamp Thing, Len Wein and Bernie Wrightston. And I haven't had a chance to look inside here. I wonder who wrote it. Written by Len Wein. And art by Jim Aparo. So this must be... I don't think the Swamp Thing had been created yet. 15 cents. Pardon me. 1971. When was the Swamp Thing created? Maybe he was already created, but they just call him the Stalking Swamp. So this looked like a really interesting issue to me. I haven't had a chance to read it. So I think those were the only interesting books I got from that sale. Thought I got a few more, but that seems to be it. So another thing, I've been thinking a lot. Some of you guys might know that, as I passed my 100 video mark, I did a couple of personal history with comics videos to kind of celebrate that landmark or something. And I've been thinking a lot about not just my personal history in the deep past, but now with YouTube. And, 6 months down the road, I feel like I have lots of good friends out there, and I'm starting to contact people, occasionally chatting in, typing kind of chats and a few video chats, and probably more of that to come. I've resolved... I had a falsetto there. I resolved my issue with Google Plus, so you can now find me on Google Plus. I think under Damien K. parentheses Sleepy Reader, something like that. And I will, of course, subscribe back to any of you guys in Google Plus, and that's a way to chat. And once you're in Google Plus as a contact with people, you can also see them in your Gmail, which is actually the place that I'm most often connected to. Even my work chat is connected to my Gmail, and and I've done video chat through Gmail with a few people. So yeah, I've been really happy with these 6 months and all of my new comic book friends. Practically the first comic book friends of my now longish life. And I wanted to give a shout out to my earliest commenters. When I looked at my first 3 videos and looked at who had commented on those first 3 videos, and they were pretty much who I remembered. And I'm still following all of their videos and still consider them all great people. And it was so great when I was just starting out and I was getting 6 or 10 or 15 hits on a video to get these comments from people. And so my very first commenters were Dragonheart Collects, Constant Bromstar, Cursive Man, Minutia Minute, James Crowder, and Oddfellow Thoughts. And I still watch all their videos. And they're all still active. But what you guys did, commenting on my earliest videos, I don't even know how you found them, was really excellent. And it really kept me going those first few weeks. So a big shout out to you guys. And while I'm doing shout-outs, I'd like to shout out to some people who I've started watching recently. There's one brand new person I just started watching today. She put up her first video. It's very good, and she's just started doing comic book art, and it's really great. Her name is LahRasa, and I'll put a link to her channel down below. You may have seen her. She has commented occasionally here and there on my videos, and probably on some other people's videos too. So welcome to the community. And she specifically is putting up the videos as a response to our community. And then another pretty new person, but he's already put up a number of very good reviews, review videos, is Michael Freeman. And I wouldn't miss one of his reviews now. And I think it's interesting. I think he has a very logical mind, and it's interesting to see how he thinks about comic books. It's different from the way I think about comic books, but very interesting. And it might be that I'm thinking that way about him because he mentioned that he's an accountant. And I noticed at one point when he talked about his star system, how he said, well, I wouldn't do, 0.5 in a 5-point star system, because then that would be a 10-point star system. So, a very logical, the kind of thinking you'd expect from a good accountant. And then I've just been recently particularly addicted to the videos of the great legend, R. Dowdy. Anyone who hasn't been checking him out, check him out. I have to say, the very first time I saw him was on the Comic Book Podcast, and then I tried one of his videos, and it didn't quite click with me, because he's got this incredible DJ kind of voice almost, if that makes sense, like a music DJ's voice, and which is a great voice, but my first thought was that he was one of these people trying to do a professional video as opposed to just being one of the guys. And boy, was I wrong. He really is one of the guys. He's just a great spirit, wonderful part of the community, and I can't get enough of his videos now. I also wanted to, another great new reviewer, although not a new channel at this point, is on Dynamic Comic Book Duo. I think that Amy's reviews are excellent. Amy has clearly got all the talents of a writer. She gives you a very concise, well thought out, well worded review. I wouldn't be surprised to find out she has written them out in advance, but you can see the writer's mind working away at these stories, and they're really excellent. One of my favorite reviewers right now. And another favorite reviewer who also does other interesting things in his videos, not just him, but, Fat Stack of Comics is who I'm talking about, and it's Mark, and I hope I got that right. I hope it's Mark. And his co-star, Chloe, and their videos are excellent. I can't get enough of Fat Stack of Comics videos. And I've learned a new word, badonkadonks. So everyone get your badonkadonks over to Fat Stack of Comics and watch his reviews. And their haul videos. Is there anything I've missed? Another interesting new thing in the community is something called Comic Book Frontline. It's a blog that's been started by some of the Dark Avenger Inc. people, and it has written comic book reviews, and it's a really snazzy looking blog, and the reviews are very good. In fact, I kind of would like to write some reviews for them if you guys have any space. I always have a part of me that really likes writing and the written word. So, wow, I've gone on a long time, and I feel like I've been rattling things off real quick. Creator-owned comics was canceled, and I can't say I'm surprised. I never bought it. I used to listen very closely to Oddfellow's thoughts reviews of it, and I think he may have dropped it. And I think there were Creator-owned comics was an image comic that had shorter running, ongoing series contained in it, plus some articles and stuff. And I think it was pretty thick, for the amount of money you paid. But it didn't sound, from the reviews I heard, it didn't sound like they were putting particularly unique stories in them. They sounded a bit cliched. They didn't sound like anything special. And especially if you put the title creator-owned as creator-owned being the title of your comic book, I kind of think it should be something special, something really unique that could only be done if you were a creator-owned kind of comic book. And it just didn't sound like they were that special. And in general, I think the title creator-owned is not, that's very inside baseball. Most of us aren't going out saying, ooh, creator-owned, that's what I want to read. No, we're saying, I want to read science fiction. I want to read something with great art. I want to read X, Y, and Z. So I saw on the Bill's Books video where they were like really pissed at everybody for not having bought creator-owned comics. But, it's there's lots of creator-owned comics out there, but, we're not buying them because they're called creator-owned. And then is Vertigo going away because Karen Berger's left it? I don't know about that. it does kind of smell like they want to move everything under the DC imprint, and you almost wonder if there was kind of a power shift at DC, and with the new 52 being successful, that the top people behind the new 52 were able to now call the shots and say, well, we want all the good stuff from Vertigo for ourselves. Which at the beginning of the new 52, without thinking through any possibility of the end of Vertigo, I thought it was really cool that a number of new 52 comics had a strong Vertigo feel. And I kind of liked the merging of the Vertigo feel with the superhero feel, like with Animal Man and Frankenstein Agent of Shade, and Hero for Hire, not Hero for Hire, Dial H for Hero, and Swamp Thing, and some others, Justice League Dark. But it looks a little unfortunate, because Vertigo certainly was my favorite comic book line in the 90s and earlier in the 2000s. And I do think other parts of the comic book industry finally caught up, at least somewhat, with Vertigo. But there's still great stuff coming out from Vertigo, like Fables and Fairest and Unwritten. It'll be interesting to see if those eventually are just labeled DC Comics again. I guess I will stop there. Is there anything else I really wanted to hit upon? Another person whose videos I'm really addicted to lately is Why Not Art. He puts out a lot of videos, so sometimes it's hard to keep up with all of them. But they're really cool and unique. And just today I saw he was doing interesting drawings of members of the community as superheroes, and that looked really incredible. He's a really, really talented artist. I'd even thought, after seeing Dakin Howlett's little drawing of the great legend of R. Dowdy, I thought, hey, maybe I could try and do some drawings of some people. And maybe I'll still try, but Why Not Art is at a totally different level. His drawings look, the caricatures of people's faces look like they could be in Mad Magazine or something. And he can draw superheroes, like you wouldn't believe. So he seems like a professional level artist. So check that out. I'll try to find that and put a link to that below too. Yeah, I guess I'll have to cut off now. How long have I gone on for? Oh boy. Okay. Talk to y'all later. Bye bye.